Autofloat.com sponsors the British Supermoto Championship.
It's round 3 of the 2013 British Supermoto Championship from Finmere Showground on the border of Northamptonshire. Plenty of action coming up in the Open Elite class, and for 2 weeks running I'm joined by Davey Todd. Can't keep you away, can we? And Graham Norris as well. Great to see you both here. First of all, a great start to the season. How's it been for you?
Yeah, it's been good up there battling with the top lads, and hope to stay up there for the rest of the season.
Chris Hodgson, of course, the man that you've been chasing, and so far we've seen in the early stages you've been up there, you've even beat him. You're really going for that championship. I know we talked about it, you know, as you being a real possible contender for this season, but you know, you've actually gone out there and proved that you've got the pace now.
Yeah, well, being up there, my goal at the start of the season was just to be top 3 really, but now I know I can be up there like battling with the top lads. You know, you want to win races.
Graham, you're a little bit further down the field, but to be fair, only what, your second, third year actually into the Open Elite Championship. How are you finding it? Because you've had some great battles so far as well. I remember at Rednall you had a real battle with John Earnshaw as well.
Yeah, we've had some good battles through the year. What we got, we do the best that we can. You know, it would be nice to a bit more money, you know, tyres and stuff like that. You know, presentation wise, it'd be nice to get sponsored or whatever, but what we've got, I think we do exceptionally well.
Very quickly, what would that mean then if you did have a bit more money? How do you think that could develop your racing to be, you know, top 5, top 3?
Well, if we had a bit more money, you know, it'd be nice. We have new tyres, you know, for qualifying. We're using a set of tyres for at least 2 meetings, but we're just scraping by, doing the best we can with what we've got. So
let's move on to race 1 then. What, Graham, are we expecting from Finmere?
We're expecting good things. You know, looking at the track, it's mostly dirt, so you don't need necessarily the fastest bike in the paddock to do well. I think it's going to be more down to the rider.
I'll move on to Davey. Quite long straights here at Finmere. Do you think that a strong engine would be advantageous, or do you think it's all quite technical, as Graham's suggesting?
Yeah, well, obviously a fast bike will help down straight, but then again, with a really large dirt section, it makes a really even playing field for people who haven't got as quick a bike. So, as Graham said, it's more the rider. What
about you, Graham? How do you get on with the jumps?
I mean, over winter, you know, we've been doing quite a lot of motocross, you know, training, cycling as well. So hopefully that'll help for a lot this weekend.
Well, let's see how you both get on. Let's take a look at Open Elite Race 1. So starting in pole position then, Chris Hodgson, the fastest man in qualifying, over half a second faster than the man in P2, Richard Sharp. In P3 is Lewis Cornish, and David Todd completes the lineup on the front row. On row 2 is Dale O'Connor with Richard Blakeman, John Earnshaw and Graham Norris. And on row 3 is Jimmy Hodges, Tim Johnson, Ollie Kemp and Brad Hardy. That's the lineup then for Open Elite race number 1. In commentary by my side is Christian Idden once again. Good to have you here, Christian.
Thank you very much.
We're about to get racing then for Open Elite. Race number 1 then, away they go. Lewis Cornish lifting. It's Chris Hodgson that looks like he's got the best of it and gets a whole shot. Richard Sharp, who starts in P2, takes P2 at the moment. David Todd having a look in third. You just see how bumpy it is going down that main straight there, Christian.
Really bumpy and straight into a dirt section. A few lads just getting a bit caught up in that second corner, but at the moment we've got Hodgson out front, we've got Sharpie second and Davy Todd third. So the guys on the front row all got away very well as Hodgson's making a straight away trying to get a breakaway on this very difficult track.
Yeah, good pace from Richard Sharp there in second place. All the riders at the moment in their starting positions as they were from the front row, but Sharpie looking good here. And to be fair, you know, we've talked in the past, Christian, about how Sharpie's a very smooth rider in terms of having his rhythm and feeling his way around here. I know he does a little bit of motocross, but actually slightly unexpected for me here.
Yeah, well, I've seen him before on dirt sections. He's got a very nice sort of elbows up style for motocross, but he's got a lot of pressure here from Davy Todd. Davy Todd getting Great drive off that dirt section, but not quite close enough just yet. But is he now? He's coming up the inside. This is going to be really tight. Oh, he's done it. Proper block pass. He's had to run wide, but he's made it stick. Great pass there from Davy Todd.
Yeah, fantastic move from number 742, David Todd. He puts himself up into second place now. His attentions, no doubt, will be looking to chase down the man who currently leads the championship, Chris Hodgson. And these two, well, I don't think there's any love lost this year. They get on very well off track, but actually both gunning for the British Championship. Hodgson, of course, looking to retain it. He's the man with the red number plate. And David Todd, this 17-year-old here from up in the border of North Yorkshire and Middlesbrough here, really giving chase to Chris Hodgson out in front.
Yeah, he's made the pass on Richard Sharp, and he's actually closed the gap down pretty quickly on Chris Hodgson. So great riding here from Davy Todd. Didn't really expect to see him close up, but he's just waving a leg there trying to get a bit of traction. We've got John Earnshaw in fourth. That's a brilliant start from John Earnshaw. Graham Norris, Dale O'Connor, Richard Blakeman and Lewis Cornish, who started on the front row, is way back there in around about 8th or 9th place.
And the big elbow goes up from Dale O'Connor then as he puts his pass on Graham Norris. And great to see Dale racing again as Richard Blakeman, I think they're just going out wide and having a look now at Graham Norris, no doubt.
Yeah, Blakeman's a little bit further back. I think he's got a bit of a knee injury this weekend, so not the best for Blakeman, and it's a really difficult race to have an injury with all this dirt section. But Lewis Cornish, I'm not quite sure what happened to him in the early stages as he skies out that jump. That was a great move from Cornish, because when it's such a short, steep takeoff like that, you're in so much danger of going over the bars. So Lewis Cornish did well, 1, to make the pass, and 2, not to fall off there. Brilliant riding there from Lewis.
A quick snatch of the handlebars there to make sure they were straight as he hit that bump as well there to make sure his takeoff was spot on. Yeah,
he did. He hit that so hard, that takeoff then, and everything really bottomed out. As we can see there, Ollie Kemp, who's having a great ride there behind Blakeman. And Richard Sharp's out at 3rd place, so he's stalled it coming out of that dirt section, and he's dropping down the order rapidly.
Absolutely rapidly, lost a lot of time there. It looks like Lewis Cornish just out of frame, having a look there, trying to work his way through. Attention, of course, on number 217 there briefly, as he's got a lot of work to do now, working his way through the field. Mind you, here is the battle from David Todd, and that leg akimbo, almost a bit Rossi style there.
Yeah, styling it out there. As we cut back now to Cornish and Blakeman, and Cornish a little bit more careful over that tiny little tabletop there as he was last time. But I think something must have happened to Cornish in the earlier stage, and he's now pulling his way back through very well. But he's had a look over his shoulder as Blakeman looking up the inside. He had a look but didn't quite get through there.
Well, here is P1 and P2, Chris Hodgson. David Todd really closed the door now, or closed the gap, I should say, really, on Chris Hodgson. A slight mistake there, flick of the leg from David Todd, and you can't believe that at the start of the day that grass there was completely flat. It just goes to show how soft it is and how much it's all digging up now.
Definitely, and you'll see all the guys here, it's dry today, but everyone on the front tyres has got wets on, even though it's dry, and that's because of the amount of dirt we've got. And probably on the rears as well, there might be a lot of guys with wets on, just because there's so little tarmac, there's not much point having full slicks on.
Absolutely. It's so interesting to see how many riders are actually out of the saddle here as well. I mean, basically all the way around, they're out of the saddle, aren't they? Graham Norris, a very heavy landing for him as Lewis Cornish looking to put pressure on now.
Yeah, Lewis is good in that section of the track. He's very brave over that little tabletop, so he knows it's a good passing place for him, but couldn't quite make anything stick on Norris there. But Norris has got the attentions of 3 very fast guys behind him. Norris is doing very well in this race here, and it's obviously suiting him well with all this off-road. As we see Sharp just having a look at Blakeman, not quite managing it. And Cornish out, definitely having a look. Blakeman takes advantage, and so does Richard Sharp. So Graham Norris, poor lad's lost 3 in one big block pass there from Lewis Cornish.
Yeah, Graham Norris shaking his head on the back wheel there, and you talked about block passes earlier, Christian. That was the absolute classic block pass there, because everyone came past there and cost Graham dearly.
Yeah, it did, and it's such a tight track here that it's the sort of pass that you have to make into these tighter corners. You have to sort of park it onto the dirt section and not really leave your opponent anywhere to go. So that's the nature of block pass, and that was definitely a block pass there from Lewis Cornish.
Look how much Sharp is out of the saddle there. I mean, that just goes to show how bumpy it is. I suppose with this circuit, it's all in the legs, is it?
Yeah, they're trying to just balance the bike and make. Obviously, you've got suspension on these bikes, but they're not motocross bikes. They've got much smaller suspension. They're much stiffer, but it's a very off-road sort of scenario we've got going on this weekend. So your legs and your arms are the rest of your suspension, so to speak. So you've got to make sure you make full use of your legs and arms on a track like this.
Well, Lewis Cornish worked his way past number 181, John Earnshaw. That puts him between number 54 Richard Blakeman and Lewis Cornish, of course. So no doubt we may well see Blakeman trying to make his move on John Earnshaw before too long. We're back with second place man David Todd at the moment as he takes it sky high there, going over the top, just sitting up out of the saddle there as he gets on the brakes. Looks like Chris Hodgson's pulled a bit of a lead on Todd now there.
Yeah, we've seen it before from Hodgson that he just he lets people get close, but I think that's because he's reasonably confident in his own abilities, is Chris Hodgson. He knows that he's got the pace, so he's obviously decided he's had enough of someone behind him. He's pulled the pin for a few laps and he's just pulled out a bit of a gap, so you know, good racecraft there from Chris Hodgson. Davey Todd maybe he's decided that, you know, he tried his hardest and he couldn't quite get through, or maybe even fitness on a track like this. And Lewis Cornish looks one way and Dale O'Connor goes all the way around the other side of him.
Well, I don't know if Cornish lost some speed there, because our cameraman actually panned ahead of him. It almost looked like he almost stopped. He looked one way and Dale O'Connor came in from the other direction. He wasn't expecting that, but I'm not quite sure what happened there.
Lewis hit a massive bump on the exit. I don't know if it just cost him the drive, but he knew he'd lost the drive, looked over one shoulder, and Dale O'Connor completely mugged him and went the other side of him.
Well, it's great to see Dale going so well. I mean, you know, we talked earlier in the season about how he's been struggling to raise the funds to get out there on circuit. He's back and, you know, one of his first meetings this season, full stop, you know, and he's really showing that he's got some pace. It's such a shame we've not seen him earlier in the season, you know, because he's looking very competitive.
Oh, Graham Norris, that was massive.
Absolute phenomenal crashing. Well, he's up, he's on his knees. Is he okay? He's getting up there, and man, that was a hard looking crash. This boy is tough, isn't he?
That is good to see him get up. That was a massive crash. He came into that tabletop really hard. I don't know if he ground out on the way up, but he was going over the bars. He will have been panic revving, thinking, oh no. He would have been in the air for what seemed like ages, knowing that crash was coming, so it's really good to see him get up. That was a massive crash.
Yeah, Dave Dearden, the race director, very quick to get to Graham Norris's aid there, and well, I mean, you know, a crash like that can finish someone's season. Very lucky to get away without some sort of collarbone injury or something there, Christian.
Massively lucky, so it's really good to see him get up from that one, as we're back to Chris Hodgson showing how you should go over that tabletop. Absolutely,
the demonstration from the master there, just even backing it in a little bit on the dirt section there, so great to see him. Now, you know, a good third of a lap ahead of 742 David Todd as he comes over the line to take the checkered flag. A fantastic win from Chris Hodgson there, pulling one heck of a gap in the end. Let's get confirmation then of the official results from Open Elite Race 1. Chris Hodgson, a much needed win for him, 35 points ahead of his main rival, number 742 David Todd, in second place. He goes away with 32 points. Dale O'Connor, a well-earned third place there, and 30 points ahead of Lewis Cornish, Richard Blakeman, John Earnshaw, Richard Sharp. Ollie Kemp takes 8th ahead of Tim Johnson and Jimmy Hodges. Well, let's get down to the paddock as Vicky Monk is talking to Dale O'Connor in third place.
That looked like an interesting race. Talk me through it.
Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. We had a good battle, me and Lewis. He tried to get past us a couple of times at the top, but it was a good, clean fight, and luckily he came out in front.
It's good to be back, though.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, I'm enjoying it. So
you're gonna step it up to second then, or maybe even first for race 2.
Oh, you can always try, can't you? See what happens.
Good luck, mate. And Davey, you were just plain unlucky, I reckon.
Yeah, well, we got away clean, me and Chris at the start, and we're having a good battle there, and I just thought I was trying to make a pass in a couple of places and just was unfortunate, ran into his back wheel and stalled it in the rut at the top, but we had a big enough gap, so I still managed to get second.
Good luck for race 2 anyway, and Chris, he was chasing you all the way, but you managed to hold on to it. Well done.
Yeah, Davey was riding really well, you know, he pushed us really hard, and it was unfortunate that he made a mistake because we would have had a good battle right to the end.
You're looking forward to a good chase down in race 2 then?
Yeah, I can imagine there's going to be more to come for race 2.
So a great start to Open Elite Race 1. Maybe not for yourself though, Graham. Talk us through what happened there.
Well, I was 3/4 of the way through the race, you know, holding my own. I went up last tabletop, not entirely sure what happened. Back end just came up a bit too much, and unfortunately I was unable to save it, and things took a turn for the worse.
I'm not surprised after banging your head that hard. What would you do differently next time looking back at this then?
Next time, next race, hit it same again. Overcome your fear.
If in doubt, flat out.
Exactly.
Talking about flat out, I mean, a great pass on Richard Sharp for you, Davey.
No, it was a good race. I managed to make the pass on Richard Sharp on the first lap. But as you saw with Graham, the jumps were pretty tough, big ruts on the faces, and the dirt was like so soft, it was digging big ruts everywhere, so it's pretty hard work, but managed to bring it home in second place.
Well, fingers crossed for you both in race number 2. Join us again after this break as we'll take a look at the action for Open Elite race number 2.
WantToLiveAfloat.com sponsors the British Supermoto Championship. WantToLiveAfloat.com sponsors the British Supermoto Championship.
Welcome back. An interesting meeting from Finmere Showground for round 3 of the British Supermoto Championship. Let's take a look at the action then for Open Elite race number 2. So a great victory from Chris Hodgson in race number 1 puts him in pole position for race number 2. Alongside him, Davey Todd, Dale O'Connor and Lewis Cornish working his way up from 8th place to 4th to put him on the front row. On row 2 is Richard Blakeman, John Earnshaw, Richard Sharp and Ollie Kemp. And on the 3rd row is Tim Johnson, Jimmy Hodges, Graham Norris down in 11th place, starting just ahead of Brad Hardy in 12th place. So, ready for race 2 then, Christian?
Yep, riders watching the lights and they're away. Hodgson will be keen to get out front because the track's not an easy one to pass on, and he has made it to the front. And Blakeman, oh, he just got caught up there with, I think it was Hardy, and had to take avoiding action, so Blakeman off the track.
Well, I'm not quite sure what happened there. You mentioned that injury that Richard Blakeman seems to be carrying for this round. Was that a case of Richard just trying to get out of there and try and protect that knee?
Yeah, could be. He knew things were going to be difficult into that first corner, and he got a bit of a nudge and obviously took a bit of avoiding action. He's back on track now. I saw him back in the background there, so at least he's back racing, but not the start Richard Blakeman will have wanted.
We can see the roost from David Todd's that he's been feeling, the dirt on his onboard camera there, and Chris Hodgson puts it sideways. David Todd up into 1st place there. Mistake from Hodgson.
Hodgson just lost the back end there. It looks like they've watered the track, and Davey Todd was riding on top of Chris Hodgson then. Has Chris Hodgson, yes, he has managed to stay on, so well saved there from Hodgson, but he was very nearly down there, and now Davey Todd's off out and into the lead.
Well, yeah, a great save as you say, and actually on wets as well, but presumably this kind of clay and deep dirt that they've got is just filling the tread pattern on the tyres, is it?
Yeah, it will be, and it's dragging all the way around, but you can see that they must have watered it just before the start of this race because it's now a lot wetter than it was in the first one, and primarily on the dirt section. So as you can see there, the tarmac is dry, but it's very dirty as Bradley Hardy just lets Lewis Cornish through, and Lewis Cornish, nice bit of motocross style there around the berm.
Well, it's great, and he's certainly looking a bit furious there because he started on the front row, as I said, and at the end of the first lap was down in 11th place. He's working his way through the field now, so something's happened to Cornish.
What a save from John Earnshaw. That was amazing. Pretty much the same thing that happened to this man in race 1, Graham Norris. But Graham Norris went down when he was had his over the bars moment, and that was so close to being over the bars that I can't believe what an amazing save there from John Earnshaw. That was absolutely brilliant. I think Graham Norris looking on there, and problems for Lewis Cornish. He too looking on, trying to get it in gear, back wheel spinning. What's going on with Lewis Cornish? He's having a mare in this one, isn't he? I think he's doing some fence rearranging there is what he was up to then. Yeah. Same thing what happened to Lewis Cornish in the first race. He started on the front row and ended up all the way towards the back, and things just in race days they can just get on top of you, and one thing leads to another, and that seems to be what's happening for Lewis Cornish. But this man here, Davey Todd, is absolutely flying at the moment. Well, he is, but he's coming up to back markers, and this is the bit that could hold him up because it's not the widest of tracks. Number 2, 3, 4 there, Tim Johnson just ahead of him there, and look at this traffic now holding up our race leader Davey Todd. Yeah, and it's very one-liney. It's very, very difficult as Chris Hodgson's shaking his... Oh, he's got a puncher. That's what's wrong with Chris Hodgson. That's why Davey Todd's got such a lead. Nothing Hodgson can do apart from hope that he can make it to the finish line in as good of a position as possible. Was that what happened then? Was it his rear tyre giving on him there as he slid it, or was that caused from the mistake he made? It could be, but that was quite early in the race we saw him make that mistake, so he's done quite a few laps since then, so I'd like to think that it probably wasn't that, but he is lucky in one way. This is a better type of track to have a puncher on because there is a lot of dirt, so you're better off having it on this than a fast-flowing tarmac circuit. It's never a good situation, as you can see, but on the straights like this, on the dirt section, he can at least keep riding.
I suppose with a circuit like this, there could be all sorts of debris. An ex-RAF airstrip closed in about 1945, I think it was, so who knows what's here.
Davy Todd lapping Hodgson now, so that is not what Chris Hodgson's going to want to see. That is his championship rival lapping him.
That's going to hurt, isn't it?
Absolutely. So, but Davy Todd will be happy as anything. He's got a nice big lead, he's just ticking off the laps, but he has to be aware that that could maybe happen to himself as well, and that is just going down and down on Hodgson. When we first saw it, he had a fair bit of air in it, and there's nothing left in there now.
Yeah, absolutely. Only 12 riders in this race, actually, so what Chris Hodgson's doing there is he's trying to have a consolation race, I suppose, and make sure he does finish this race at all costs, because he can still bag a considerable amount of points.
Yeah, he can still pick up good points. All he has to do is make it across the finish line, so Chris Hodgson's doing exactly what he needs to do. He's trying to keep out of most people's way, which is good riding from Chris, and he's still going pretty quick, to be fair, with the puncher.
And the fact that this track is so bumpy, that's really not going to help, is it?
No, it's not going to help the shape of his rims. I think he might need a new back wheel after this race, but fair play to him for keep going. That's the mark of a champion, really, in Hodgson.
A great close-up of the back wheel of Chris Hodgson. You can just see how difficult that must be for Chris Hodgson to actually be even riding that bike. Number 117 there, Brad Hardy, just coming past there well, actually, he's unlapping himself from Chris Hodgson there, so Chris Hodgson previously lapped him, but I was going to say it would be quite disappointing for Chris Hodgson to see Brad Hardy passing him. He's not. He's actually unlapping himself there because he'd done quite a bit of the work to begin with there.
Yeah, Hodgson and Davy Todd were so far out at the start of the race that they actually lapped a lot of riders, and they're now unlapping themselves, and this is another battle that's not a battle, because Lewis Cornish himself is also a lap down on Dale O'Connor, so Dale doesn't need to be battling too hard here with Lewis.
Yeah, and you know, it's such a topsy-turvy race, this, isn't it? These riders all unlapping themselves as Chris Hodgson comes through to take the last lap flag. That means right behind him somewhere, here he comes on the final turn then, Davy Todd coming around the final corner to take the checker flag, and a well-earned win for Davy Todd. He's going to be delighted. He's bagged some serious points over Chris Hodgson there, but actually with Hodgson lapping quite a few riders, I don't think Hodgson is actually going to finish stone last. He is on his last lap. He is going to finish this race coming through, but let's take a look at the official results. Chris Hodgson finishing 6th, so still in the top 10. Davy Todd takes the win then for Open Elite Race 2, a well-earned 35 points. Dale O'Connor claiming 2nd place, and great to see Graham Norris in 3rd place and 30 points to him. Now, John Earnshaw 4th, Richard Blakeman 5th, Chris Hodgson taking 6th and still 25 points, so he's only effectively lost 10 there ahead of Jimmy Hodges, Lewis Cornish, Brad Hardy and Tim Johnson in Open Elite Race 2.
Graham, 3rd in race 2. How are you feeling about that result?
Very over the moon, to be honest with you, considering race 1. Crashed out, we didn't actually finish race 1 due to going over bars on the last jump. So starting 2nd to last on grid. Weren't really expecting a top 3 finish, but over the moon with it.
First time we've seen you in the top 3 this year. Is it a sign of things to come then, do you reckon?
I hope so. You know, we're always pushing to be at the front of the grid, you know, doing our best, but it's hard, it's a fast pace, you know, it's good.
Well, best of luck for race 3, and Dale, up to P2 for race 2. How are you feeling? You're stepping it up one more for the final here?
Well, we can always try. It was a good race last time out. Bit of a lonely race, like, but yeah, it was good. See what we can do in the next one.
How are you finding this track today? Because it's very different to any other on the calendar.
Yeah, I like it. I didn't go too well yesterday, but today seems a bit better, so we'll see how we get on.
Best of luck for race 3, and Davey, back on the top spot. Are you going to stay there for race 3?
Hopefully, yeah. Hopefully just get a good start, stay consistent and keep ahead. And that last race, having a good battle with Chris, and I got into the lead and then dropped it. And then got back up, was still behind him in 2nd, and then he unfortunately got a puncture, so it's unfortunate. It was good to have a battle, but pleased with the win.
Quite an entertaining race for Open Elite Race 2. Davey, of course, taking the win. Was that a well-earned victory for you to see Chris, well, claim his 6th in the end and limping round, or was that frustrating that he actually managed to bag some points?
No, not so much. It is good that he finished. Obviously, he's keeping his points up, but not so good for his back wheel.
I feel that we've now got to a point in the season where it's not about who's the best supermoto rider, it's about who's the most consistent and isn't making the mistakes now, and there's a real needle between you two at this point, isn't there?
Yeah, of course, yeah. It's like just the battle of who makes the least mistakes and is most consistent, really.
Well, talking about mistakes and consistency, you're not alone, Graham, because John Earnshaw, got to mention that. I mean, I bet he was a bit sore.
Yeah, I think someone was looking out for him.
Absolutely. We were talking about techniques and how you approach that. You say flat out. I was asking David during that race. He was saying it's a little bit more technical than that. So just talk us a little bit through that then. What is it about that jump that's so difficult for people to get right?
I think the main thing about that jump is with the ground being so soft and the ruts being so deep on the face of the jumps, each rut, on the face is different to the one next to it. So if you're using the same rut, every lap, you get a feel for that rut. If you have to go offline and use a different rut, it's a bit going into the unknown.
So you're both on the front row for race 3. Richard Blakeman struggling a little bit in the start of that race because it got quite tight into the first turn. Very quickly, expectations into race 3?
Hopefully just keep up front, starting up front, so you just got to hope to keep up there and keep Hodgson back. He's got to start from 6th place on the grid, so hopefully get away while he's at the back.
And Graham, you think you can maintain that momentum?
Well, I hope so. Just get my head down, stay, crash free and see what happens.
Great. Well, let's see how you get on. Join us again after this break then for Open Elite race number 3.
OneToLiveAfloat.com sponsors the British Supermoto Championship. OneToLiveAfloat.com sponsors the British Supermoto Championship.
Welcome back. Time now to take a look at Open Elite Race 3 from Finmere Showground. So an interesting grid lineup then for Open Elite Race 3. David Todd takes pole position then on the front row with Dale O'Connor. A great result for Graham Norris to be on the front row too with John Earnshaw. On row 2, Richard Blakeman starts in P5 with Chris Hodgson next to him, Jimmy Hodges and Lewis Cornish. And on row 3 is Brad Hardy with Tim Johnson, Ollie Kemp and Richard Sharp starting in P12. And let's not forget, of course, Richard Sharp was on the front row in P2 in race 1, so his day maybe not gone quite as he'd planned there, Christian.
No, not quite. He was right up there, so a big problem in the first one, but they're looking for the lights in the start of this third race and they're away. John Earnshaw, Dale O'Connor looking good there. Is Dale O'Connor going to lead the race? He is. Gets the whole shot. And right. Hodgson from 6th is up to 3rd already, so great start from Hodgson. Davey Todd's made it through and he needs to do that because he needs to make a break from Hodgson while he can. Yeah, the concentration and no doubt absolute commitment to this race there from Dale O'Connor, wasting no time to try and make a lead as early as he can while he knows Chris Hodgson may well be stuck in traffic. Yeah, Davey Todd's off and away and he looks like he's really got the flow there. Oh, and that's Brad Hardy who's he's down and he's asking for assistance there, but the marshal won't leave his marshal point there. 2 minds there, but poor Bradley Hardy, that looks like his race is just about over. Not quite sure what's happened, but he's getting the assistance now and looks like he's up and good to go. He's just pushing it off the side, and Chris Hodgson not quite made it past Dale O'Connor yet, so a good ride at the moment from Dale O'Connor, and you can see there that Davey Todd's just stretching that gap out front, but Hodgson's got good drive here off the dirt section. Is he going to go up the inside? He's looking for it, yes, and he's made that pass stick.
A great move, and the bike just getting a little bit leery there as we had a surface change and managed to keep that upright as Ches there. Brad Hardy on the outside, that's his nickname, Ches, trying to work his way maybe to rejoin this race and continue to get a bit more track practice there, but wow, look at Chris Hodgson absolutely hammering it here to chase down the man out in front, David Todd.
Hodgson looked awesome through there. He's finding some fantastic grip through there, and he was up on the pegs, leant back, and then he hit that tabletop. Lovely that was. And look, oh, he's running there deep. Ooh. Well saved there from Hodgson. He's keen to get back on the back of Davey Todd. This is a big race for these two. These are the 2 main championship protagonists that we've got out front at the moment. As we've sort of seen the effect of Lewis Cornish and Richard Blakeman. They've sort of dropped away in the championship hunt at the moment, so these are the 2 main men who are now looking at Dale O'Connor and Graham Norris holding a good 4th with Lewis Cornish and Richard Blakeman there, John Earnshaw and Richard Sharp, who's come from last on the grid fighting his way through.
Yeah, Graham Norris a little bit leery there. It's cost him a little bit of time as through comes Lewis Cornish, number 8. Another great block pass there from Lewis Cornish to work his way past Graham Norris now, and that's moved him through the field, and Well, all sorts going on in the background behind there as we pick up number 54, Richard Blakeman. And maybe not the points he wanted so far today, because he was third in the championship going into this round, as he's having a look now at Graham Norris. And they come over that first one, about to go over the second tabletop here now.
Yeah, you can definitely see though that Richard Blakeman is sort of holding on to, and he's made it past Graham Norris, but he definitely, the way he's riding, he's being very conservative with his style. He's not putting his leg out too much, so you can definitely see that he's got some kind of injury here, Richard Blakeman. And Chris Hodgson, he's on the back of Davy Todd, but he looked like he was very aggressive to start with. He caught him up so quickly, but not really anything to do now that he's caught the back of him.
You can see Sharpie, 217 Richard Sharp, past Ollie Kemp and John Earnshaw there, so he's worked his way up into, I think, 6th position now here. So really working his way through the field. I think we're picking him up properly here now, as he's now having a look at Graham Norris, the man ahead of him. And then the next challenge is to get past Blakeman. If he can clear this pack, he's off.
Yeah, we've got to do a bit of a shout out for Ollie Kemp. This is definitely the strongest I've seen him. Now, the position's not amazing, but he is on the back of a big group that goes all the way up to 4th. So good shout out there for Ollie Kemp, who's chasing down John Earnshaw at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely, in 8th position at the moment, Ollie Kemp. So respectable results, and this surely has got to be easy for Sharpie to pass Graham Norris. He must have lost a bit of confidence over that jump after that big off he had earlier in the day.
Yeah, he was. Richard Sharp's going round the outside. Oh, that's lovely. Great move there from Richard Sharp. Yeah, but Graham Norris was giving it a bit of talk about still flat out over that. He definitely throttled off a little bit after that big moment and that big crash he had in that other race.
Didn't we name that move the Blakeman earlier in the season, Christian? Going deep round the outside to draw a level and then work your way into the inside?
Yep, working your way into the inside. That's definitely a Blakeman manoeuvre. That's Sharpie Blakemaning Graham Norris there, so yep.
Well, here comes Dale O'Connor, and he's had a really good day today. I mean, we saw him in round number 1. He's missed a few rounds now, but it just goes to show the pace of this guy. It looks like he's really enjoying his racing as well, to be fair. He's looking quick, Christian.
Dale's been fantastic today, and he's got lovely style. You can now see Sharp, who's definitely working his way through, looking like he's getting the better there of Richard Blakeman. But yeah, brilliant shout out there for Dale O'Connor. He's obviously enjoying the off-road style here. We've got much more off-road than we have. And is that Graham Norris just pulling out to one side there as Ollie Kemp went through?
Absolutely. And yeah, we've just got I just saw briefly in the background there Dave Clark, no doubt looking out for his two men, Davy Todd and Lewis Cornish, in this race, to give him a little bit of advice from the side of the track. It's amazing, that man. I mean, you'll know more than most, Christian, you know, how he can find a 1/10 of a second just from watching people from the side of the track.
Dave Clark's an absolute legend. He helped me out to start supermoto racing, and he's just a great guy, and at the moment he's helping out Davy Todd. I think he sees a great future in him, and Davy Todd's out leading this race, so maybe Dave Clark's right.
Well, I think he is. I mean, he discovered this man sat next to me, Christian, didn't he, in the car park near the Reebok Stadium in Bolton. I'm led to believe, is that right?
Yeah, I was riding a bike. I wasn't just in a car park, I was riding at the time.
That was another story entirely. Here's number 54 then, Richard Blakeman. And now, well, with the pressure off him a little bit, now is the time for him to find his own race and maybe relax that leg a little bit and bag some points.
Yeah, I think that's what Blakeman's been doing all day long, is just, you know, ticking off the laps. As Davy Todd is definitely ticking off the laps, and he seems to have seen away the challenge of Chris Hodgson. Now, this is a massive turn-up, because obviously we know in race 2, Hodgson had a problem, he had a puncture, so a bit of an unfair one. Hodgson won the first race, but now Davy Todd is out and leading by a fair margin this race 3.
Well, Jimmy Hodges, a back marker there in 10th place. I think he might have worked his way up into 9th place actually there. And 2, 3, 4, Tim Johnson 2 there, getting the attentions of our race leader. Now there is Chris Hodgson in the background, so he's not dropped off the race, but it has certainly dropped off the pace.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe, you know, it's a very physical track round here, so I don't know, maybe Davy's fitness regime is just playing in there a little bit more than Hodgson, who knows, but definitely the fight's gone out of Hodgson, you know, the wind's out of his sails. But just a little bit about this, we've seen a lot of lapping today. Now the track is very short, and as well, because there's so much dirt, there is a much bigger speed differential. It's not necessarily that the other guys are going very slow, it's that the top guys are going very, very quick.
They are going very, very quick. Well, what I was going to say is, of course, David Todd out in front, and Chris Hodgson, I just wonder whether he's burnt himself out a little bit. We're only into round number 3. It's known as David Todd takes the win for race number 3 and his second win of the day. Great result for David Todd. I was going to say, I wonder if Chris was struggling a little bit with fitness because he went very, very deep, made that mistake, and it cost him a little bit. I wondered whether he thought caution was the better part of valour. But a great race win, nevertheless, for David Todd in Open Elite Race 3. 35 points in the bag for him, but Chris Hodgson never too far away. 32 points for his second place ahead of Dale O'Connor in third. Then it was Richard Sharp working his way right through the field there to finish ahead of Richard Blakeman, John Earnshaw, Ollie Kemp, Tim Johnson, Jimmy Hodges and Graham Norris in Open Elite Race 3. Let's get down to the paddock then with Vicky.
So Lewis, you were looking really quick in quali this morning and then the racing happened. Talk me through it.
Yeah, first lap on the first race I stalled it on the dirt, and then just struggled to come back from there really. I've come through to fourth on the first race and then crashed 3 times in the second race and got a flat tyre in the last one, so yeah, real bad day.
What happened though? What do you think was the problem overall out there? I don't know, I couldn't see everything, so.
I don't know, I was making too many mistakes really. I can't blame anyone else but myself really, so.
What happened with the flat tyre then on the, where did you get the puncture?
I noticed that as I come into the jump section, I just like hit a jump and it washed out real bad, so I thought that's not right. I looked around and I could see it was flat, so.
It was a rapid tyre change, to be fair though. Where did you finish overall for the final?
I think I was still last, but yeah, fairly quick change.
Dale, pretty good meeting for you today. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm chuffed with it today. I don't usually get on podium, so I'm happy with it. Yeah, it's hard going, but yeah, had a few battles and enjoyed it, so that's the main thing.
What's the secret been? Is it because of the different type of track, do you think, or is it something just clicked?
I don't know, yeah, we do quite a bit of motocross, so with it being a bit more off-road than usual, and it wasn't a sort of a tyre thing and it wasn't a horsepower thing, we've kind of done alright, so yeah, I'm happy with it.
Chris, a bit of an interesting day's racing for you overall. Talk me through it.
Yeah, first race went well, got the win there. And the second race was going all right. I made a mistake, Davey got past me, and then Davey made a mistake. I got back past him, then that lap I got a puncture. So I had to ride round for 4 or 5 laps with a flat tyre.
How did you get a puncture then? What part of the track did it happen on?
I'm not sure, I think it's up in the top loop, in the deep ruts. There's been a bit of glass and a bit of metal knocking about, so I think that could have done it.
Talk us through the racing today then, how have you found it?
Oh, it's been really good. I've enjoyed the track, like with a lot of dirt, which suits me quite well, and the jumps and everything, and it's got rutted up real bad at some points, but no, I've enjoyed it, definitely.
Are there any changes to the bike for the next meeting?
Oh, there'll be a lot of changes. Like the next track is at Brighton, so it's a lot faster track and loads more tarmac, so big change to suspension.
Is it faster than this track here today, do you think, Brighton?
Yeah, a lot faster. Big long straight at Brighton and some fast corners to get through, which is better tarmac, better condition than here.
Well, boys, another entertaining race in Open Elite Race 3. Graham, taking that jump again, getting passed by Richard Blakeman there, but how many buses did he clear?
I think he cleared a few in that jump then.
It was good, I liked it. But I mean, did you learn anything this time with Blakeman coming past? Or?
Well, yeah, Blakeman just nailed that tabletop perfectly. Unfortunately, as I overjumped it, I lost a bit of drive coming off it and he just beat me to the corner. Nothing I could do about it.
Davey, another great race win ahead of Chris Hodgson. He came up from 6th. Another fine victory for you now?
Yeah, I thought I'd have had a bit longer to get away, but he was right behind me there after the second lap. But I managed to open a gap and win that race ahead of him. Well, we'll talk a little bit more about debrief, I suppose, from round 3. Join us again after the break, as we'll be talking about all the action from races 1, 2 and 3 after this.
WantToLiveAfloat.com sponsors the British Supermoto Championship. WantToLiveAfloat.com sponsors the British Supermoto Championship.
Welcome back to round 3 of the British Supermoto Championship. 3 races out of the way now, and let's just take a quick look at the guys as they collect the trophies. So a great day's racing for David Todd then, taking the overall win today then, ahead of Chris Hodgson and Dale O'Connor in third place. That's the day's results, but here is the standings. Chris Hodgson still the man who leads the championship, 296 points now to David Todd, reeling him in with 285. And Richard Blakeman still not too far behind with 259. Lewis Cornish though, and Richard Sharp biting at the bit there too, ahead of Graham Norris, Jimmy Hodges, John Earnshaw, Brad Hardy and Tim Johnson, the top 10 in the British Open Elite Championship. So Chris Hodgson still the man at the top of the championship, but you've clawed some points back now, Davey.
Yeah, I managed to claw a few points back winning the overall this weekend, and Chris had an unfortunate weekend getting a puncher and stuff, but I had a good weekend. And
the first time you won the overall as well in the Open Elites, isn't it?
Yeah, I managed to get my first overall win with a couple of race wins as well.
And a good pass as well. Let's take a look at some of the action. Race 1, this great pass on Richard Sharp here, lining it up and straight up the inside there. Just talk us through what you were thinking there, David.
I just set the move up a few corners before, got the run on him down the straight and just stuck it up the inside for a clean block pass. And
of course, there's no show without fire. Graham, of course, was the man who was going for the Evel Knievel impression of the week. And, of course, that big crash that we talked about earlier over the tabletop. And we'll just take another look at this again if we can. And Graham, oh, it's a nasty crash. I mean, how are you feeling now? Was there any sort of ill effects from that afterwards? We know you were struggling in race 3, but...
I mean, no, I'm feeling all right now. Obviously, a few bruises, feeling a bit sore, but it's what to be expected of such a big crash.
Well, if there's only one consolation, it's the fact that you weren't the only one to do that. We had Lewis Cornish, I don't think we caught that in race 3, but in race 2 we had John Earnshaw doing exactly the same thing again, and here we go, just taking a run up here. And, you know, it's not an easy jump to take, to be fair, is it? You know, he sat a little bit far back on the bike, I suppose, from what you were telling me earlier, Davey. A very near mistake. And Davey, you know, you were sort of saying about maybe you need to put a bit more energy into your legs and take the spring out of it. Just talk us through that a little bit more.
Yeah, you just got to try and soak it up as much as you can, because it's such a steep take-off on those jumps there, and they're so rutted up. You just try and keep central on the bike and keep your bike even in the air. You should be in for a clean landing.
Well, fingers crossed. Just before well, John Earnshaw's near fall, I should say. Richard Blakeman's start at the beginning of race number 2. Now, Graham called race because you were just behind there. What happened there, Graham?
I think with you know, setting off from the line, there's 12 of us, I think, going into one tight gap. You know, obviously 12 people going into one space isn't going to work. Everyone being so aggressive on start, because the start's where you make most positions. Everyone wanted that one gap. Unfortunately, it wasn't going to happen.
It's not particularly narrow, is it? I mean, do you think that could have been slightly wider, or do you just think it was, you know, first bend bunching, I suppose?
Yeah, it was just everybody bunching up on the first corner, and he got caught up with another rider and just had to miss the first turn.
Always difficult with these circuits because, of course, it's not a proper venue, I suppose, as it were, you know, not a racetrack like Three Sisters or Teesside or wherever, where we're going later in the year. Do you think that's been the cause of some of the punches that we've had this weekend? I mean, let's just take a look at Hodgson running, you know, basically on his rims there, and that'll have cost him on his, what's he on, Alpina wheels, is it? Other brands also available? But really struggling there. There's no big air from Chris on that, and Graham?
No, I think it's with the ground being so soft. You don't know what's beneath the ground. Unfortunately, you know, punches do occur. You know, it'd be nice if nobody got a puncher, but it's just one of those things. That's racing, unfortunately.
And I noticed he's running, it looks like on full wets there. Was everyone doing that because of the surface?
Yeah, but he was running full wets because there's a lot of dirt and your tyres don't have time to heat up with slicks on the tarmac section, so the best option was full wets.
So also in race 3 was this pass of Lewis Cornish's on you, Graham, and just talk us through what happened here in this last corner. You seemed to make a bit of a mistake, back end came round too much and
coming out of that corner, I just lost a bit of drive onto the main straight, which Lewis managed to close the gap. He just couldn't quite get to me just before the chicane, but he had, you know, enough speed just to get up the inside of me there. Unfortunately, we were both going a bit hot into it, and he made a clean block pass. I
was just going to say, just the tiniest bit of elbow there as well, just to make sure he had enough room. And yeah, a brilliant block pass from Cornish. Quite a hard move, but quite a fair one. I think you'd return the favour given half a chance, wouldn't you?
Definitely a harsh move. You know, some people say that's racing, some people call it dirty riding, but it's clean enough.
Well, one circuit that we're moving on to for the next round, that is Blyton, of course, the traditional Supermoto circuit, and one that you guys have ridden umpteen times, probably yourself, Graham, more than Davey, only having done it for 2 years. How'd you get on at Blyton?
We're going with Blyton quite well. We've seen many changes over the years, you know, most for the better. But no, I like Blyton. It's a left-handed track, which we don't normally get a left-handed track within in the season. So yeah, again, it's something different. But normally we don't do too bad.
What sort of is different then about that in terms of, you know, is there any difference in tyre wear or your setup, or even, you know, just where your gear lever is positioned relative to the other tracks? You know, does that play its part in any way?
Sometimes, yeah. You know, some people prefer right-handers. You know, with it being a left-handed track, you know, some people gain an advantage from that. It's a good track overall. And
for yourself, Davey, you get on pretty well with the place, don't you?
Yeah, I enjoy Blyton. It's a really fast track, and it has got enough dirt to give you a chance there as well. And but they've just revamped it all and a lot of new tarmac there, so it should be good.
I've got to say, Chris Hodgson, he loves the place. He seems to go very well around there. Is that now a bit of a threat? Because it's a circuit that surely Chris could come back into his own, and he'll certainly be looking to after this round, because although he's still at the top of the championship, it's not been his best round.
Oh, sure. It gives him a chance still, but there's other riders up there who can really challenge him up at the front.
Well, let's talk about Lewis Cornish, because of course he's up there as well. You know, is that a threat for you there as well? I mean, you know, you've still got Dale O'Connor as well. He's up there too. You know, you've got Lewis chomping at the bit too. You can't take your foot off the gas or your hand off the throttle in any way, shape or form here, really, can you? Because there's always someone looking to knock you down. No,
not at all. You're chasing guys in front of you all the time, but then you've got to be aware of the people right behind you who are trying to chase you, so you've always got that pressure as well.
Richard Blakeman had a pretty poor meeting after an absolute great start to the season. I suppose for you that takes the pressure off, so at least you've got your focus just on Chris now.
Yeah, it gives a little bit of breathing room, slight margin for error, but I think he had a little bit of an injury, so maybe he'll recovered from that by Blyton and back on it.
And of course that injury that still continues to plague Richard Blakeman. For yourself then, Graham, you know, you've proved that certainly in race 2, you're up there, you're on the front row, you've got the pace, you can mix it up, you're in the top 10 of the Open Elites, you know. What now for you? Do you think you can get back on that front row? Do you think you can be challenging and moving up there? You know, to be fair, 2 years in, the same as Davey in the Open Elites, but you've now got to be looking to a progression to get up at the top there, surely.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, you know, we can get at the top. You know, we've proved at Finmere, you know, although it wasn't the fastest track that we go to through the year, but like we said previous, it comes down to tyres mainly. You know, if you can't supply the tyres, you know, it is hard.
Well, you are doing well, and I hope you can continue to do so, both of you in fact. That's all we've got time for today, but do join us next week for the British Superlight Championship. All the action from Finmere. As you've seen today, a very narrow track, so I'm sure there'll be plenty of thrills and spills on that circuit. We'll be back in the studio in 2 weeks' time for the British Supermoto Championship, round 4 at Blyton. From our 2 guests today, though, David Todd and Graham Norris, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
OneToLiveAfloat.com sponsors the British Supermoto Championship.